So without further ado, this, as you see, this film is produced by none other than Oprah Winfrey, Steven Spielberg, Scott Sanders, and Quincy Jones. And special shout out to Scott. He's in the building. I don't know if Scott wants to stand up. And I'm excited to be here today for a chance to talk about this beautiful film, which I saw, I was in high school, and I remember having a very teared copy of The Color Purple, trying to finish it in between my legs with my mom before the movie started. And I'm so excited that I get to now take my daughter to see it when it opens on Christmas Day. So without further ado, please welcome the director of The Color Purple, Blitz Bazawule. And how fly does he look? I'm not saying they told us to wear purple, but, you know. So, Blitz, tell me your first introduction to The Color Purple. How did you learn about this amazing film?
Hello, everybody. First of all, thank you all for being here. It is an honor and a privilege. Well, my personal journey with The Color Purple begins with Alice Walker's incredible Pulitzer Prize-winning book. I was fortunate enough to read it my first year of college, and it really was transformational for me. I'm originally born and raised in Ghana. A few of you know where that's at. So I was born and raised in Ghana, and it was the first time I'd read anything that was so clear in its connection to the diaspora, the continent and the diaspora. Here was this black woman living in the rural South who had an understanding of global blackness, the fact that her sister was in Africa. And it was something that was profound for me. Of course, I saw Steven Spielberg's classic, and that further bolstered my understanding of the importance of this story. So when you get a phone call that says they're remaking The Color Purple, reimagining it, first thing you go is, why? That was my question to myself. And I went back and reread Alice's classic, and it became very clear to me that there's an endless well of story in there that has not been fully explored, and that was the opportunity. It was just looking for the areas that hadn't been touched, the gray area, the fact that we've evolved some since the 80s. Our understanding of sexuality has evolved. Our understanding of domestic violence has evolved. Our understanding of so many things have evolved. And getting an opportunity for a new generation to get a chance to experience this was something that was great. So I'm truly honored to contribute to what has become the multiverse of The Color Purple.
Ooh, God bless you. And you didn't do this alone.
Of course not.
You have an incredible cast. Please talk to us about it.
Oh, my God. I mean, where do I start? Well, let me start with Fantasia Barrino. Yes. There are few people in this world who are as brilliant, as talented, and as genuine humans as Fantasia is. And, when I first talked to her about this role, she was like, Blitz, I did it on Broadway. It was one of the most difficult things I'd ever done because so much of myself is in this character. And we talked some more. I talked to her about some of the ideas I had. And eventually she came around and she's talked about it some to me. And she talks about the healing process that was her journey through making this film. So Fantasia is somebody that's my sister, and I'm so thankful that she said yes because she's brilliant in this film. Of course, the legendary Taraji P. Henson, the legendary. She is outstanding in this film. One of the things she told me was, Blitz, I rarely get to use all my gifts. And I think that this film gave her that opportunity to show her incredible acting prowess, to also dance, to sing, and she's a brilliant singer. By the way, nothing is dubbed. Okay, I know these days, with technology, you can do a lot. Nope, that's all her singing, and she's amazing, amazing. Danielle Brooks, who reprises her role she's amazing too. She, reprises her role from Broadway as Sophia, handpicked by the Oprah Winfrey to play this role. So another master, and I think you guys are going to be so moved by her journey through the film. Of course, the brother Coleman Domingo, who, if you know, you know. This was a role that most men flee from. And he embraced it wholeheartedly. All he told me was, Blitz, you gotta make sure that he's fully human, okay? And not one-dimensional, and is multi-dimensional, because that's what we are. And his journey through that was one powerful one, and I'm still amazed. And I'm just gonna run through the gamut of amazingness that I also got a chance to work with, from Felicia Impassi, who plays young Celli, Halle Bailey, amazing as young Nettie, her as Squeak, who's amazing, John Batiste, Tamala Mann, the incredible Tamala Mann, who am I mean,
Corey Hawkins.
Corey Hawkins, jeez, how can I forget? David Allen Greer, Master, oh my goodness, Lou Gossett Jr., the legendary, okay? I mean, it was like showing up to work every day was just unbelievable, And even when we were rehearsing, we'll read the lines, you always got to read the lines, but we spend more of our time in what ended up feeling like therapy sessions. We talk to each other about our families, about generational trauma and how we carry them, and that's more of what we did. And when you do watch the film, what you're going to experience is these lived experiences, right? And I think that's what kind of filtered out. Did I say John Batiste? Yeah, I said John Batiste. Boy, it was, Ingenue Ellis, Dion Cole.
Who is unrecognizable.
And
I'm going to put it out there for the record. Blitz is now about to blast him into a stratosphere. He is going to have dramatic roles from now on after this comes out.
He blew all our minds. And you know how people is brilliant, that's one thing. And then you find out and that was it for me every day showing up. I know Fantasia is the greatest singer of our generation. I'm aware. But seeing how she evolved into this character, I know her is brilliant as a singer. I know Halle Bailey is amazing as a singer. But to see them become these characters and to see the gamut of talent, we realized that, boy, we need more and more of these opportunities. So it was special.
Now, going back a bit about Coleman, and, he did not have hesitation, but he said, Mr. needs to be human. And working through that generational trauma, but how did you get through directing those very, those are some hard scenes between Mr. and Celie's stepfather. How did you, as a black male, kind of direct them?
Well, first, it goes back to first understanding that I'm human and nothing human is alien to me. Okay, and we are all capable, right, if put in a wrong situation, of being these characters, right? And I think that was the thing that we kind of always went back to say, if we just think about, first of all, making sure that we never undermine Celie's story, because this is a black woman's story first, but also understanding that we are a very, let's say, diverse group of beings as black folk, right? We have, there are every kind of us, all of whom are worthy of redemption, right? And I think that, for me, it was looking at old Mister and going, okay, well, we all know the old Misters. They will never change. They're set in their ways, okay? Looking at a Mister and looking at the environment that makes a mister. We know these people in our communities. And then look at Harpo and going, okay, that's opportunity. I have a 14-year-old son, raising him in Georgia, and he has to have someone to look up to in this film. He has to have a positive, right? Again, never undermining Alice Walker's intent of showing kind of this particular kind, but also understanding that we have to be responsible in showing the myriad of opportunity of black men who are incredible in their societies and communities, who raise their kids, who take care of their sons and daughters, who are brilliant husbands and brilliant fathers. That's a kind, and we have to make sure that that's equally as amplified as the derelict and the one who is a challenge to his community, right? And then also understanding the environment that makes these characters who are in our community today, currently. And I think that was, for me, the opportunity we had was to show a myriad of characters and making them human and giving them all the attributes for us to understand that we're not one thing, we're not a monolith. We are a myriad, and everyone deserved an opportunity.
Well, I think it's a great time to now have the cast talk about those myriad of moments that they took to develop these iconic characters. Let's play the sizzle. And remember, no filming. As the kids say, you did that. But
Thank you.
You didn't do it alone.
Of course not.
You ran through the cast, but there are some very special behind-the-scenes people.
Yes.
So let's talk about it.
I mean, oh boy, where do I begin? Of course, our fabulous writer, Marcus Godley, whose words are, gave so much new meaning to this opportunity. My esteemed DP, Dan Lawston, who you can see his brilliant visual work. It is rich. Francine Tanchuk. Francine actually worked on the first Color Purple as an assistant costumer in 1985. She came on to be my lead costumer on this one. So talk about a full circle, deserving of her flowers. So Francine was truly special, and you can see the richness of the costumes up there. Paul Asterberry, who was my, of course, my production designer, and we worked very hard to bring a level of authenticity, to make it feel lived in, and he was very diligent. And I mean, the list goes on. I, of course, couldn't do it without my incredible producers, Scott Sanders, who's here. Big shout out to you. I had the three goats, okay? I had the legendary Miss Oprah Winfrey. I had the legendary Steven Spielberg, and I had the legendary Quincy Jones. I mean, talk about showing up to work every day, that's intimidating, okay? But I was very blessed to have such a brilliant back office who championed and allowed me to be an artist and allowed me to take bold steps to make this film what it is today. So I'm truly lucky. I mean, there's somebody who we haven't called out.
We haven't called out. There's a seat here for somebody.
I mean, do I get the honor? Do you get it? Who gets the honor?
You can get the honor.
I can
because
get the honor?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing the dancing.
Okay, in there.
From Remember the Time.
Okay, no, let's not do all that,
No,
Corey. Let's not do all that. Ladies and gentlemen, there was somebody I hired before anybody on this film. Okay, she was actually on my pitch deck when I was pitching to get this movie. Okay, and I have to say, the honor and privilege of watching this master work every day is still something I am beyond. There are no words, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous, amazing Fatima Robinson, my choreographer.
Welcome, Fatima. We've all spoke about our ties to The Color Purple? What are yours before you were able to work on this amazing film?
I have two younger sisters, and I remember my mom going to see this film first. And it was the first film where she came home and said, I must take you guys to see this film. And so it was the first film I remember watching with my mom and my sisters, and I feel like I've watched it every year since. So it's amazing.
So talk about how you designed the movement of this, because for a lot of us who were not able to get to Broadway and see the musical, how did you kind of come up with the choreography for her?
Well, I hadn't seen the musical either, and Blitz and I had lots of conversation about music and about just movement in general, about like, okay, let's take stepping, for instance. Where did that come from? It had to have come from our ancestors. And so how were they stepping back in the day? You know, we don't have a lot of footage of how we dance in that time. So a lot of conversation was had about how that movement looked and where it should come from. And so I did a deep dive into all types of dance. And then Blitz and I just together interpreted in a way that brought both the storytelling and the movement together, so it felt unified and flowed throughout the movie.
And you also had to tap into the themes of The Color Purple, which are finding your voice, overcoming triumph. Like, how did you incorporate that into the choreography?
I mean, it was on the pages, and to be honest, what Blitz did with the music, it was so unique. You know, there's like in that little clip of Hell No, you know, that the attitude that she has when she kicks down that door and she's reclaiming all her belongings and she's leaving him, you know, the attitude of the sisters who are there to support her. And, you know, at one point when we were shooting, there's something that happens in the rehearsal room as you're shooting, as you're choreographing an actor, but it's different when you get them on set and now they're in their full hair, makeup, everything, and there was something she was doing that just didn't feel right. And I remember going up to Danielle and I said, lose the choreography, forget what we did in the studio. I want you to do what Sophia would do in this moment. And she said, okay. And we did it, and it was so perfect. And so, you know, just moments like that on set, giving people the freedom to find it on their own as well is the beauty of what we do.
Wow. So speaking about finding things, you know, in the behind the scenes sneak peek we just got, the young actress that plays young Celli mentioned that you gave them a mission, the spectrum of blackness. Talk to us about that. And how did you, and Fatima, what was your interpretation of Blitz's mission?
Well, first, okay, it's like blackness is not a monolith, right? We are such a diverse people from, you know, there's American black, there's Southern American black, there's Caribbean black, there's Africa black, there's Africans in Europe black. It's like the blackness just keeps going. There's Afro-Brazilian black, you know? And so, but the thing is, we're all connected, right? We're all connected in our struggle to be free. We're all connected to the struggle of being ourselves, right? And I think that we highly underestimate how much connectivity has existed between us. I think what our job was to find those connective tissues and to showcase them. And you know, when we think about dance, right, Fatima, you know, the conversations were about how does dance on the continent evolve into the Charleston, the Lindy Hop, and all the things that come after, right? And you know, those were the questions that we were asking ourselves. And again, it goes back to Alice Walker's brilliant work. which is that it created pathways from the continent to the Americas. And so our job was to trace that thread, which is that the beauty of blackness is that there's always a thread. And when you start to unravel the yarn, you start to find, oh my goodness, that call and response, you know, it has a home, you know, and unfortunately when, you know, the diaspora has been ripped so violently away from the depth of culture and so much cultural amnesia has happened, this becomes the opportunities. The work becomes the opportunities of reconnecting. And so for me, the first thing was, first of all, anchor the continental blackness in a specific place, in a specific culture, which was the Ashanti culture. And once we decided it was going to be the Ashanti culture, then we can go, okay, well, what's the dance? What are the fabrics, the kente? What are the mannerisms? What are the things that we can bring? And so that was our work, was trying to find those threads and kind of connect them all.
Yeah, 100%. Also, just honoring the ancestors, you know, when we were in the room working, there's just things that I do that, I mean, for me, a lot of it, I don't know where it's coming from. And I truly feel like I am just the vessel for the art to come through me and out. I mean, think about some of those numbers that we did where it was, you know, the guys in the prison, and we didn't even have music to go off of, and we just literally, what does it feel like to be part of the chain gang, and just taking that feeling and now creating a rhythm and a beat to what we think our ancestors were, you know, doing then. It's just, there's so many exciting numbers in here that give you such different styles of dance to play with, and it just shows how beautiful and rich our culture truly is. Yeah.
Well, this audience is about to see one of these exciting numbers, and I think I've been scripted to say, push the button. All right, tell me everything about filming this scene.
Oh, wow, that was so much fun.
Was moonshine involved? Tell me.
Wow. I mean, I'm getting emotional watching that. Geez.
I mean, and to be honest, when the lights went out, a lot of that is just dance hall.
Yes.
I took the liberty of like, what do I see in the reggae clubs?
Yes.
What do I see, you know?
I mean, what the beauty, again, you know, and I think this, you know, when you think about the music even, you know, we were very conscious that we had to create a proximity to audiences today.
Yes.
Right? A lot of times when you watch a period film, it's like, it's always filtered through photographs that have survived, right? So it's a lot of sepia tone, a lot of black and white. We forget that these people lived in color, all right? There was no AC, they sweat, okay? And I mean, my hair, makeup department, we running in to touch, I don't touch them up. There was no AC, there were no fans. It was hot and humid. Let's feel that, you know, and so a lot of times it was about that, creating proximity to audiences today and seeing the thread. And this is something we talked about a lot. What has survived? Because again, when you think about the continuum of blackness, everything these young guns do today was done before.
It's done before.
They think they're inventing, but they're not inventing nothing. It's all in them already. It's taking up what has been done, repurposing. Right? And so in scenes like this, that was our job, was to say, even in the costuming, and I talked to Francine a lot, you know, give me a hat that is cool enough to rock today, okay? But was rocked back then too. And there's a lot of things like that in our culture that we're not often aware about. These tangential elements that continue to live with us. And so in the club, what is happening today was happening back then. It's the same thing. And I remember also talking about Shug Avery is the Beyonce of her time. Okay, so imagine Beyonce going back to Houston, Texas, and performing in a hole in a wall.
Yeah.
I'll pass out. I will faint.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted, that's the environment I wanted to create, was to see this legend who has come from, touring Europe and the world and has returned home to a little hole in the wall. Let's see the excitement, right?
Exactly. She's going to bring energy and excitement into the space, into the room, and everyone is just going to be energized by her worldly travels. So good.
So good. How did y'all make you feel? That's the question. Yeah.
We had so much fun shooting this
So
movie.
much fun. Wow.
But something in this clip that I noticed, and because I was able to see the film, you really get to explore the love, the romantic love between Celli and Shug a lot more than it was done, 30 plus years ago. Talk to us about that and the freedom that you had to really. They had a relationship, a romantic relationship.
And again, it was the 80s. There's only so much you could do, and Steven did his best, and Whoopi did her best, and everybody did their best. But again, that's why I find that given an opportunity today, because this is through our lens today, and we've evolved as a people. Our ideas of tolerance and intolerance, look, we're not all there, okay? But we're moving in a direction that I think gave us the opportunity to explore a much more robust romantic relationship, a much more true to Alice's intention, because that's really all, that was our holy grail. Whenever in doubt, go back to Alice's words, okay? She wrote it all out there. Now, whether you can handle it or not, that's your problem. But she wrote it all. And I think that our job was to try to, and look, in 30 years, 20 years, another brave group of people are gonna show up and they're gonna give it another shot. And the world would have moved towards, and they will be able to do things that we couldn't do, all right? And I think that ultimately, that's the beauty of having something this culturally relevant, is that it's evergreen. And the fact that it is also an indictment of our society. The fact that this is still necessary. Domestic violence is still on a high, okay? So yes, we have to retag, and we have to also see the sources of how these things come about. So for a lot of us, that was what we were looking at when we were making this film, is here's another opportunity to be bold, here's another opportunity to be brave, and let's honor Alice.
Yes.
Oh, whew. I'm getting excited about this. For both of you, to see it on Broadway, this version, right? You were limited, literally. But now you're filming in Savannah. Those shots on the beach and on the Gullah Coast. Talk to us about, like, truly the set design. I mean, it's almost like you got to build a world again, but.
I mean, and also how it affected choreography. And one thing I told everybody, I told the actors, I told my team, we are living, we're not acting. Okay, and that was a big thing. On Broadway, you're acting. And we all sit in front of you and we go, yeah, they're acting, When you're watching a movie, I have to believe it. So one of the first things I did was I got in a car. This is deep COVID. And I drove to every single corner. You gotta remember, this was November 2020. Oh, this was election time. This was Confederate flags, Jesus 2022, Jesus 2020, Trump 2020, everywhere you went. And this was deep, okay? And we went out there and we found these places that were all going to inspire reality. So, I mean, that lake that she that's real. Okay, we found it. We were able to dredge it, build the juke joint, fill it back up with water. Okay, and you gotta be on time with that, because when it's time to shoot, the water better be in there, because she's coming on. It's Cleopatra on a boat, coming to the juke. So that was hard work, but finding the places, that was huge.
Yeah, some places when I started, we didn't even have. So I had the liberty to take around 10 dancers in a room and create the places in the dance. Remember, Shug's coming to town, like we created the shops by having, I would go, okay, Shug is gonna stop by the shoe shop and we'll do this choreography here in the barber shop and we'll do this choreography here. And so it was really fun to use my imagination to create this world, film it, and then show Blitz and say, these are all the worlds we need to build.
And let me just tell y'all, that skeleton crew, I mean, that's what got us the money to make this movie. Seriously. Because every time everybody saw the rehearsals,
Yes.
I remember Shug coming to town and, you know, Scott, you're a testament to this, you know, watching that and going, if that's what they're doing in an empty studio, imagine when they are really on the street. And that was the beauty of figuring out how to also adapt the spaces to the choreography. Because once we knew we got to go through a barbershop, I mean, you remember, we had to take out walls, glass, so that the camera could go in and out. It was beautiful, but I should also say this. One thing that plagues a lot of musicals is that it's separate. They do music, and then they do acting, okay? And you can never see a fluidity. One special thing about Fatima that she brought, and we talked about this early, was we had to choreograph the whole thing. When people are just walking and talking, I want the same fluidity when people are dancing, so the camera never stopped moving. Shout out to Dan Lawson, our DP. There was a lot of work to figure out a fluid way in which the camera was always choreographed. And I think that's what really makes this film special, is that when you're watching it, it's not two parts, where they break out singing, and then they start acting again. No, it's like the scenes are all intertwined, and they're beautifully put together, so thank you.
No problem.
Well, speaking about beautiful scenes, choreography, let's deep dive about Taraji. Like you mentioned earlier, that's her singing, right?
Oh my God.
Her singing.
And dancing.
And dancing.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, with like 19-year-olds who were winded and she wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay, that's T.
Yeah, she was amazing. She was amazing to work with on a professional level because she just brings so much sass and attitude to the character. You know, I love that we played around with what helped elevate that sass is props. You know, playing around with fans and handkerchiefs and lifting her and, you know, all the things. All of Shug's arrival. Wait till you see her arrival. Just to,
My God.
to the town. It's I think giving each person a character and a personality and we had the incredible Corey Hawkins that we created something just because he's so damn good.
Yes. Yes.
We had to create a song.
Yes,
and a
on the
dance for
day.
him. Yeah.
Remember? We were just like, okay, he's that good.
Yes.
Okay, but it goes back to this idea of spontaneity. And look, I come from a culture of spontaneity. Okay, my grandmother's stories is how I get here, you know, and they were made up, freestyle, but like they were better than what's scripted. Okay, and I think that when you're making a film like this, you have to be in alignment with the seen and unseen.
Yes.
And I really think that that's where we were always in tune and finding opportunities. And I always come to you, okay, I know we worked it out like this, but look at this now, you know? And then and that's one thing. I mean, I can sing your praises all day, but I have to say this: watching you interact with your dancers. First of all, Fatima never raises her voice. Okay, y'all? Like, I want to be like that. Okay? Legit, I want to be the kind of leader who's like, let me talk to you. You can do this better. Do that. And that was the beauty of watching the spontaneity and the brilliance of how and they trust you.
Yeah, but I trust you. And so really to do a film with someone you trust so much And someone who hires the right people and lets them do their job is amazing. So, and it's reflective on the screen.
So this film, you all, it's not going to come out. It's going to come out at a great time,
Yes.
Christmas Day, the holidays.
Yes.
Why do you think it's important? Why is that? That's a big date for
Oh my
films.
God.
No pressure.
First of all, Christmas Day. Listen, and I'm just echoing the legendary Oprah Winfrey here. Look, you're gonna have your Christmas dinner with your family, you know, because we all do that.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna hit the wardrobe and rock out purple. Okay, this is merely but
There you go.
but an example. Okay, I had to show up with this for y'all. Okay, and then we're going to go as a family. Okay, and we're going to experience a myriad. We're going to be healed. Okay,
Yeah.
conversations are going to be had on that return. I think that that is the special. What is special about this opportunity for us? But I also have to emphasize why it's important that this movie is a massive success. We do not have many A color purples, y'all. Okay? We do not. Look.
And in theaters.
And in theaters. Let's be clear, okay? We don't got them Harry Potters and the Game of Throneses. And listen, there is the color purple. That is our piece of IP that has gone through all the, and this is not to say we don't have the brilliant, the intellectual and creative genius to create these works. They just haven't been elevated to that level. And I have to be clear, okay? What we have is a special opportunity to show the world that we show up for what is ours and we make the biggest dent in the universe, and the whole world has to pay attention. So when we rock our purples and we show up in those theaters, they go, we need 10 more of those. And we did that for Black Panther, and I have to say this, Ryan Coogler is a brother and a friend of mine, and I will not get this opportunity to make this film without his success. Okay, without his success. But we got only one. Okay, we need one more very quickly. Okay, and the color purple's got to be next in line so that all the brilliant filmmakers that are in here today have that shot. And they can show up and they can make history. We can continue to have as many of our movies made at the highest level because we're guaranteed to show up because it's ours. And that's what we need to happen on Christmas Day.
So Blitz has said it. Y'all know what to do come Christmas. When you get that link for the pre-order. Y'all, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Blitz,
Thank you, Fatima.
The Color Purple in theaters. Congratulations to another wonderful Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival. Have a good evening, y'all. Safe travels
Thank you.
home.
Thank you so much.